Hi, my name is Russ Laggan, and today's session is about 30 points to success. If you haven't seen 30 points to success yet, you might want to check this baby out. So here's a story to go along with that. When I started out brand new in the real estate industry, I had a lot of days where you're working really hard, but you really never knew exactly what you were getting done. And it was kind of weird because my wife's family all grew up in like normal 9-to-5 jobs. You know, you get a salary job, you work for 30 years, you get the golden watch, and if you're lucky, you live long enough to retire and enjoy all those 30 years of labor. And I've never really been that guy. I've always been the entrepreneur spirit. I've started a couple of businesses. I've bought businesses and sold businesses. And even at a young age, I was always doing things on my own for the most part, being 1099 or self-employed like most of the people going to be watching this video. So here's the funny part. When I get into the real estate business, I'm doing the things that I need to do to grow my business. But at the end of the day, my wife would say to me, "Hey, Russ, well, how was your day?" She wasn't really asking me how my day was necessarily. It's like, how was my day? She was like, well, what did you do today? And did you get anything done? And are you going to make any money? Are you going to get a paycheck, right? I mean, the undertone, she wasn't cruel about it or anything, but at the end of the day, it was really hard for me to explain, what am I doing on a day-to-day basis? Am I moving the ball forward? See, in most of these relationship-related businesses, like real estate, like mortgage, like title, it takes a long time to cultivate a relationship, to incubate a relationship, to be able to get it to the point where you actually get a paycheck. So sometimes we can work 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 8 and 12 months on a buyer or a seller before you even get to the point where you can actually get paid by closing a transaction with them. So on a day-to-day basis, what are you doing to move the ball forward? So what I found is that when I started looking at the things that I was doing that was making me money, and I was able to tie the activities that directly tied to either growing my business or making me money in the end, or gave me a better chance at making money in the end, that's when I started to figure out that there were consistent things over and over that I was doing that actually turned into cash later on down the road. And that's when I developed the 30 points to success. So 30 points to success is a myriad of different things that it actually does and benefits you. Number one, gives you the ability to track what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and on a weekly basis, and on a monthly basis. You can compare week over week, how am I doing on my points? It also gives you the ability to communicate to others around you in your family, loved ones, spouses, parents, children, whomever is wondering what the heck do you really do. You have a language that you can establish with regard to what you're doing. So one of the things I did is I started tracking my numbers, and when I would get home from work at the end of the day, I would tell my wife, here's how many points I got today. And she was like, yay, good for you. You know, it's like, let's take this thing and let's stick it up on the refrigerator, put little smiley faces on it. But it wasn't really quite that bad, but it was actually pretty close. Because what happened is, it was able to establish a language between my wife and I on what I was doing, and was I doing the business building activities. When I did that, it helped my wife understand what I was doing, and it helped me quantify what I was doing, and then it helped me also take a lot of the pressure off in that relationship thing between myself and my business, and between myself and my wife, because she was able to actually watch and quantify with me what I was doing and what I was getting. After doing this for 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 months, we were able to really draw some simple conclusions. If I got X amount of points per day, X amount of points per week, X amount of points per month, it was translating into X amount of business. So what I found for me at that point, my goal was to make $100,000 a year. My affirmation to go along with it was, I make over $10,000 every month. Now for the analytical and the math people in the group, you might say, hey Russ, that's great. But $10,000 a month equals $120,000 a year. And I said, yes, it does. But I'm talking $100,000 net. So if you make $120,000 gross, you're probably going to net around 100 grand. So I like to talk net dollars. How much money do I actually get to keep and spend? That's what I care about, right? So it was over $10,000 every month. And what I found is that when I was tracking consistently week over week and month over month, I was able to establish a couple things. Did I have a successful day? Number one, yes or no. Did I have a successful week? Yes or no. Did I have a successful month? Did I have a successful year? And I could directly tie it to my points. Now, when you're starting off with the 30 points to success, you want to start off with the paper version. And I know a lot of you guys are like, Russ, come on, man, it's a paperless society. You're talking, preaching back in the Stone Ages. This isn't the 80s anymore, brother. You are absolutely 100% correct. It's not the 80s anymore. It's not the 90s or 2000. See, what happened is we used to do everything manually. And then we went to doing almost everything electronically. And the problem with doing everything electronically is it doesn't keep it in front of your melon, keep it in front of your eyeballs, keep it on the top of your mind. And I want to go all retro on you here, but here's the real deal. When you've got something physical, tangible, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can smell it if you want, this actually has a sense of realness to it that something in a computer just doesn't, right? This is also something you can put on the wall directly in front of you, hang this baby up, and keep your eyeball on it so you know every day, boom, every morning, I gotta track my numbers, every night, track my numbers. What am I doing? What are my points? How many points did I get? And then over time, you're able to track this into what are you getting for results. See, what we find is that some people will get a bunch of points every single week, but their business doesn't actually grow and they're not actually making money because there are a bunch of ways that you can hide in this system. So what you want to do is say, is what I'm doing working? Number one, you got to start with tracking it. If you're not tracking it, how the heck do you know? If you're tracking it, then you can quantify what's working best, what am I spending the most time, energy, effort, and points on, and you can adjust doing points and making points happen on a different topic or a different category if you need to. So what I did is I broke this down so that you're able to actually track on a day-to-day basis what you got going on. Now, you might notice here it's got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a 7-day week. I'm not saying you get 30 points every single day. I'm simply saying on this system, I want you to get 30 points 5 days a week. 5. You get to pick which day. So if you're out there killing it, crushing it, destroying it, getting after it on Saturday, knock yourself out. Plug that baby in. If you're doing open houses on Sunday, use those numbers, right? And then part of this is also saying, I did my job for the week so I can do some downtime and shut some stuff off, right? Because at the end of every day, as a real estate agent, if we're not getting a check and we're measuring success based on checks, it becomes really tough to say at the end of the day, I did a good job. Because, doing a good job, you got to get paid to do that, right? So at the end of the day, you're able to look at this and say, I got my 30 points. I can shut it down now. I can turn my phone off. I can flip my phone upside down. I can go out and do something interesting, have a life, go get a workout. A lot of people tell me they don't have time for going to the gym. They don't have time for various things in their life. And I'm going to tell you that's absolute crap. If you got in really hardcore and knocked this out of the park, you could probably get your 30 points in 3 or 4 hours, absolute max, every single day if you're not working with buyers and sellers every single day. Right? So you have plenty of extra time. The problem is you fill your extra time with nonsense and things that don't actually tie to you making money. And if you're not tying things to making you money, then what the heck are you doing it for, right? If you're doing something consistently and it's not getting you paid, why keep doing it? So focus on the things that you know tie to make money. Focus on the things that you know actually will get you results in the long term or grow your business or grow your sphere of influence on a regular basis. And those things you can translate to making money if you implement some type of value delivery system over time with them, right? So growing your sphere is a huge part of this business. Huge part of this business. So let me break this down real quick for you. A couple things on the list. So if you're doing mailers and mailing, that's on the top of the list right here. You get 1 point per 10 cent. And you might be like, what? You get 1/10 of a point? Yeah, because if you send 100 of them, you only get 10 points. Because what I don't want you to do is send 1 and you get 1 point for every day. Well, I'm going to send 30 a day. That's not going to be enough if you just mail people. We know the math just doesn't work out. So if you're just sending mailers all the time, the question is, what's your return? What's your hit rate? What's your return on your investment? And we know that number is way below some of the other activities here. Phone calls, you get 2 points. Why do you get 2 points for a phone call? Because I'm going to tell you what, talking to somebody is actually more effective than mailing somebody something. So you get more points for things that are more effective. Here's the next one, best one here, face-to-face. You get 5 points for a face-to-face meeting if you have some type of conversation and have some type of, some type of verbiage that goes around business, right? If you just go out and hang with your buddies and go drinking, that's not networking. That's called going out drinking with your buddies, right? But if you're talking business and have a couple drinks, hey, completely different game. Now it's networking, right? So if you want to drink more, just tell your spouse you're going networking more, right? Wait a minute, I know a bunch of realtors that already know that technique. No, I'm kidding with you, right? But here's the reality. Face-to-face stuff is more powerful. If you can get face-to-face with more people and you have things of value to deliver them, then you'll be able to actually grow your sphere and build your credibility. If you build your credibility, you make more money, right? Next on the list is listing appointment. You get 10 points for a listing appointment. Now, It doesn't say you have to get the listing, just you're doing the appointment. Because what I know is if you do enough appointments, eventually it's going to pay off if your skill set is decent. If you want to learn more about how to do a good listing appointment, I actually have a set of videos on that. Reach out to me and we could talk about how to do a strategy session on how to get better listings and get more listings and get your hit rate up. You should be at the 80 to 90% conversion rate on listings. If you're not there, you got some work to do. You probably could use a strategy session with me and we can talk about how to implement that in your business. Working with buyers, buyer showings, 10 points. Networking event, 10 points. If you go to the networking event, you actually talk to somebody, you come out of there with contact information for somebody that you can follow up with later, that's good networking, and you get 10 points for doing networking like that. If you get a contract written and accepted, that's worth 20 points. So if you only did that, you could make a bunch of money, right? Only did that twice a week, you can make a bunch of money. So here's the cool part. It gives you points and parts and pieces for the things that are most likely to make you money and get you business going in the future. Networking event, by the way, on the 10 points, it's 10 points per person information you get that you can add to your sphere of influence. So it's going to be something that you could pop into a networking event and meet 2, 3, 4 people and get their contact info with the promise to deliver value at a later date. And what you'll find is that your business is going to grow pretty fast. Because in the Spheramid system, where we teach how to actually capitalize on that stuff, you're looking at a 10% return on investment for that. So if you do networking 3 times in a month, you get 4 people each time, that's 12 people. That's a little over 1 sales transaction in the next year you probably get. If you just did that every single month, you'd be able to account for 12 more transactions in the next year just by doing that. So here's the cool part. At the end of the week, you total it up, you need to have over 150 points of the business building activities to be actually able to consider it a successful week. So again, 30 points every single day that you're working. And what you'll find is you'll sneak in some points on days you aren't working. Because we're living the lifestyle. It's a real estate lifestyle. It's a salesperson relationship business lifestyle. And you'll find things you do on the weekends contribute to that long term. So it's a lifestyle. And what you'll find is at the end of the week, you can track your numbers, you get 150 points. At the end of the month, you've got 600 points. If you got 600 points at the end of the month, you've got a successful month. So hope this helps you understand that there's a really great way to track what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. It points out your flaws. It points out where you're goofing off real quick. It becomes difficult sometimes when you get to the end of the week and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't work on all the good stuff that I should have been working on. I've just worked on the nonsense stuff. You'll notice texting isn't on here. You'll notice emailing isn't on here. There's a reason they're not on here, because that's not actually going to help you build your business. That's just part of the maintaining your business in the back end. So that's 30 points to success. I hope that helps you understand what this is about. If you want help implementing in your business, don't hesitate to reach out. If you want to join the Spheramid Incubator Facebook group, jump on in there. I'd love to accept you. We talk about this stuff on a regular basis, and I hope for you next year and this month and tomorrow is going to be a better day. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye.